Record.
Got it.
It's going.
Okay, so I want to know.
Mine is like getting very tattered and I'm ready to start it for the third or fourth time again.
I know mine literally has like a footprint on it because I had it down by my feet in the car for so long. Like it's just been, I love this book. And I want to know what you guys thought about the advanced tactics section because it may be one of my, I don't know. I feel like every week I'm like, this is like my favorite section, but I loved it. I reread it all yesterday and the day before. So how about anyone who, we're in a small group today, that's okay. But you can either put it in the chat or like comment, what did you guys think about this section overall?
I loved it. I have almost a lot. I have a lot highlighted. My favorite one is the next chapter because it got me think about me. But one of the things I loved, and I'm looking at my book because I read it today, but I kind of need to look over it again. I put people are born with different abilities, which is so true. Like I had a phone meeting with Pat yesterday, and she was like, why do you want to be a leader? And she very much said, some people are made to be leaders. Some people are made to not be leaders. Some people are specific type of leaders and like all the things. And she's like, some people just are born with different passions and different abilities. And so that opened my eyes because some people just aren't born to do certain things. And that's good to know when you're building a team, because some people aren't going to do things certain ways because that's just not in their realm. So that was kind of an eye-opener for me.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the first chapter, right? The truth about talent. And so I'm going to out myself as a kind of grumpy lady here, but most self-help books I don't like because I genuinely feel like if everybody's special, then nobody's special, right? Like does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. It's like, you just what we need to do is just like do the best we can with what we've got. And that's like, even as a parent, that's something I try to really hone in on, like what my kids have shown up with and like help them do the best they can with what they've got. And so I absolutely love this. So I wrote a couple questions like, so what are my things? I wrote, I'm friendly. A question like, are you an influencer? I tend to be organized. Are you a hard worker? Whatever those things are that you're 25% better than the rest of the population at, lean in and combine them, right? Like, I love this. The secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. So, but here's the thing. When we're talking about posh, I think that the way we need to frame this for ourselves and others is like, what are the different ways you can be successful in this business?
One of the other things that I thought of and I've talked about many of times is I think, when people are sitting and they're thinking, I'm not quite sure what I'm good at. Like they don't know. Okay. Always say, what is energy filling to you? And what is energy depleting to you? And I start with that because for me, my wheelhouse is home parties. That is energy filling to me. That's where I am in my comfort zone. That's where I'm doing the things that are best suited to my abilities. On the other hand, Facebook parties are energy depleting to me. So therefore, I hate doing them and it becomes a task and I don't feel good at what I do. So I don't feel like I am working in my wheelhouse. So I think looking at it that way too is, I think we all have to push ourselves and we have to do things that we don't per se like to do. But if 80% of the time I'm doing things in my wheelhouse and that I enjoy and that I'm good at, then those 20%, I can play with it a little. I can deal with it when it's hard. So that was a huge kind of like thing that I took off of that when you're trying to figure out what am I good at? Is it energy filling or is it energy depleting?
Yeah, I love that. And this is also a good time, you know, when you're talking about accountability partners or other things like that, is finding someone that, I mean, we know we need to be, you know, book, sell, recruit, like make sure that your accountability partner or someone that you are working with is able to help in those low areas that you have, because we all have them. We all have them. And so I think I just love how realistic this is. I guess that's what I'll say. I just love how it's like, you're not going to be good at everything. Guess what? You just can't. And that is so true. I absolutely love that. So on page 223, I just wrote like try, because that is something that I'm good at. Like I will try new things and fail at them all the time. I did my whole Uncom presentation on that. Like I try new things all the time that totally flop, and I try new things that work sometimes. So that's a big thing. And I loved the questions. This is something that you guys can maybe sit down with, like page 224, 225. What feels like fun to me, but work for others? What makes me lose track of time, right? That's when you're in flow. Where do I get greater returns than the average person? What comes naturally to me? So those are some things that if you guys haven't sat down, I wrote some things down next to those paragraphs in my book, just kind of thinking about, okay, what are those things for me? And how can I apply them to Posh? So that might be something, you know, little activity that you guys can do.
And I think you could break that up into book, sell, recruit, focus on booking. When you're booking, same, and this I think is where I got the energy filling and the energy depleting. What am I good at? What is getting the return on my investment for booking? That's what I need to focus on. Do I still need to try other things? Yes. Because you have to try, you have to fail, and you have to assess and reevaluate. But you want to spend most of your time doing the things that are energy filling, because it gives you the energy to keep doing it. If you're constantly failing, like I do in Facebook parties, I'm like, oh God, you really want a Facebook party? And it may be that I'm not doing anything, typically I'm not doing anything different than anybody else. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel good for me.
Yeah. I mean, if we're being honest about Facebook parties, that you have to just do more, I feel like, because they just don't bring in the same numbers for me. That's not true for everyone. But anyway, all of that being said, I love the last sentence in this chapter says, work hard on the things that come easy. And I think that right, that is when you feel successful, is when you're in that state of flow and you're like, wow, things are working and this is going good. So yeah, I think those are good questions for us to all sit down with. And I love what Chalene said about applying them to book, sell, recruit. Ask yourself those questions and kind of start tailoring your time spent on your business towards those things. The next chapter, I also loved, like, it can't be not too hard, not too easy, just right? The Goldilocks theory. But I love at the beginning where they talk about Steve Martin, and it talks about like 18 years of work to really get where he is. And I know Chalene and I have both been doing this for quite a while. Like
10 years, October. Well, actually, end of September, October 1st, 10 years.
A decade.
Right.
A decade of time I have dedicated to building my business, and I haven't quit. And, you know, at least I would say for me, I'm sure it's different for Chalene. We have really different stories, but for 7 of those years, I have been very consistent.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that that just shows too, like, time is going to pass. And so when I talk to people about this business, I'm like, start off by, if you can take your family out to eat once a month on Posh,
Mhm.
that's great. Now, next month, let's add taking your family out to eat and filling your gas tank, although that may not work right now, you know, or whatever the case may be, right? So just you really not giving up, having that grit. I love that. And making sure that it is enough of a challenge that you're going to stay interested, but easy enough that you can feel successful. So what are some of your thoughts on that? Like, how can you tailor this business to be hard enough to challenge you, but easy enough to keep going?
I know with me, when I first started, I always told myself I was going to get at least 1,000 PV from day one out the door, because I wanted that max. And 1,000 was my max at the moment. I know 5,000 is the max, but and then I hit the 1,000 on the first month, the second month. I've consistently hit the 1,000. So I was like, okay, I need to make this harder. Obviously, I need to make this harder. And so then I started shooting for the 3,000, and then I started making the 3,000. I was like, well, where do I go from there? Because 3,000 is pretty good.
Mhm.
And but now my goal, is the 3,000 on my own, but also to add recruits and get the MA every single month. I wanted to shoot for the 12. Last month didn't happen. So I was like, okay, it is what it is. I'm going to shoot for the 9 now. Last Posh year, I got the 6. So I was like, well, this year I'm going to get the 9. So I'm always trying to like beat myself, because I truly believe I can't compare myself to anyone else. Like, I can't, just because she's in front of my face, I can't compare my numbers to Shailene. I can't compare my numbers to the top seller. I can compare my numbers to myself because I know what I'm capable of. So that's what I do every month. I try and just beat my 3,000. And this month, since I beat the 3,000, I'm like, okay, well, let me get to 4,000 by
Mhm.
the end of the month. So I just keep myself one step ahead, like one step above. So that's how I compete with myself.
I love
With
that.
making it stressful,
Yeah.
because when I get stressed, then it just doesn't become fun.
Right.
Which is that's the whole concept, right? The Goldilocks concept. And I think that is such a perfect answer, right? Is like really challenging yourself. And that's something I haven't been as good at recently. I was talking to Shailene about that. Like, I haven't been as good about that, which I'm excited to be working in this group and challenging myself a little bit more. Another thing in this section that I related to a lot, speaking of letting myself off the hook a little bit, is no habit will stay interesting forever.
Mhm.
And professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way. You have to fall in love with boredom, which is, we have to learn how to fall in love with follow-ups. We have to learn how to fall in love continually with booking parties and meeting new people. So I think that's where we rely on those systems and our discipline to measure our success more than anything, right? It's just, we continue to do the work. What else did you guys think about this particular chapter? Or is there anything that you're like,
I love this one. Professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life get in the way.
mhm,
Professionals know what is important to them and work towards it with purpose. Amateurs get pulled off course by urgencies of life. And I really think that also circles back to your why and why you're here. And when that why you're here is really embedded into your soul, you stick to it through the hard, you stick to it through the good, the bad, and you don't let things get in the way. And that to me, I thought that was because so many times I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant or I had a baby, and great. Those are great excuses. And I'm not saying just excuses. For some people, that is their purpose in life. I'm not devaluing that. But if this is what you want it to be, and you want it to be big, and you want it to be a legacy, or you want it to be something more than just a hobby, you have to have that professional outlook, and you have to push through the hard. So that to me was a huge like, oh, yeah, totally. Because you'll see this in people's business. And God, I love them. I have many of them. It's like bipolar posh is what I call it. They're good. Something in life happens and we're gone for 2 months. And then they're wondering why. It's so hard to get the momentum again. It's so hard to get the sales again. Well, when you're not consistently doing it and present, it is harder. So that bipolar posh makes for a bipolar business. So that one was one that really hit home with me.
Which that goes to our don't miss twice, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's just about getting back on the horse. I mean, all of us have had things that have derailed. I mean, in the decade that I've been working Posh, I've worked it with babies. I've worked it with a full-time job. I've worked it with, multiple cancer issues in the family. I've worked it with death in the family. I've worked it with, it really is about getting back on, because those things, they can totally derail you, and family comes first, and whatever the case may be, but making it a priority to kind of stick with it has been a huge key. So I
think
do,
when people view it though too, and I hate to call it a job because for some people it's not a job, but if you're here to make money, it almost has to be like a job. And if someone dies in your family or you get sick, you do take a few days off, but you don't take 2 weeks off. You don't take a month off. You do what you can in small little bits as soon as you can. And so that's like the big thing. Yeah, you can have a death in the family. Your family comes first. We expect you. We're here to support, uplift, and encourage you. Take that time you need. Bring somebody in to help you. And then as soon as you can, you start getting back into it piece by piece by piece. That's not totally dropping your business. We have people that just totally drop their business when something goes awry.
Yeah.
and it's hard not to let that happen.
Sorry.
And then it's harder to get back into it.
I have one team member, I'm not going to name names, but I have one team member that like right out the gate, she joined, earned Jamaica within like the first month that she joined, was full force, go get them. And then something happened and she fell off the wagon for like 2 months. And I felt, because I have her team that is also my team. So I kind of picked up the not slack, but they're my team. So I picked up where I needed to pick up. And now she's back in it. And she messaged one of the team members that are under her. And they were like, oh, I've been talking to Jennifer. And then just kind of wrote her off. And she got upset. And I'm like, listen, and I'm really real with her. Like I can be real with her and she appreciates it. I'm not mean, but I'm real with her. And I was like, listen, you were nowhere to be found. She wanted to run her business. So she went to the person above you. And I'm here.
Call Tosh and tell her I'm on this call.
I'm here for her. But now that she's stepped back in, she's kind of like, she doesn't want to talk to me. She doesn't want to get my help. And so I messaged her and I was like, listen, so-and-so had to take a little bit of time off. She's back now. I'm always here for you. I'm not saying I won't be, but now she's back. Go to her first, make her feel needed. So along those lines that you said, yes, it's okay to take a little bit of time, but don't take 2 weeks plus because it's going to take work to get that back. And
Totally.
if you have a team and you fall off, you're kind of leaving them hanging. So it's kind of like when you get a team, it's like a job because you have to keep up with the people that are under you.
Yeah. And it is, I mean, all of that being said, I mean, it really is just goes back to that consistency.
Yep.
And making sure that we are using those good habits. So the next one, it talks about the downside of creating good habits, which is, oh, look, Jean said they might not enjoy it, but they find a way to put in the reps. Yes, that is exactly right. And I have done YouTube videos about how much I literally call follow-ups FUs. That's what I call them because I don't like to do them. I don't. So I always plan a reward for myself when I weekly do my FUs. So, you know, if I'm doing my FUs, maybe it means I get to drink some wine that night, or I do my FUs and then I get sushi, or like I seriously have to reward
We're gonna
myself.
make a shirt that say I reward myself for FUs.
I do reward myself for FUs. So just I do. I have to because that is how I find a way to put in the reps.
Right.
I have to. So the next section is like the downside of creating good habits. And it kind of, I feel like goes right along with this idea where it's like when you're doing something so repetitively, you aren't reflecting on it frequently enough. And I feel like that is one thing that this group is helping me to kind of get back on track again. On page 242, it says, what's the solution for becoming too automatic and too comfortable? Establishing a system for reflection and review. One thing I wanted to share with you guys as far as this goes, my husband and I quarterly, we take one night away from our kids. And sometimes it even means like, if we can't go away, we just say, you guys are out here. And then we sit down and we review things for our family. Are we on the right track? Financially, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, and revamp our goals. We have to revisit those because in the day-to-day, you get lost. And so I was thinking about how much I really need to do that with my business, and using something like this, is a way to make sure that you're reviewing your progress. What did you guys think about this section, the downside of creating good habits?
Do you guys reflect on the things that you do? I guess that naturally, I'm just one of those type of people that when I do something, I think back, okay, did I do that right? Maybe I'm worried about what people think, but I do self-reflect on a lot of things. Did that training go like I wanted it to? Did that home party, what could have I done better? Did I even plant any seeds for opportunity? How could I have done better? Do you guys reflect upon how your month went? Did it go well? What went well? What didn't go well? What can I work on this next month?
When I thought he does give you some integrity report questions that you can ask and some examples. So I think, and I love that he says it's just a few hours per year, which it truly is. Like, if you will just take a few hours, even at the end of every month, like what went well this month, what didn't, what do I want to try for next month? How can I make it better? Jean says, I wake up in the middle of the night reflecting on my business. Same, I call that anxiety.
Yeah.
So yes, which is an excellent segue into the how to break the beliefs that hold you back. I love this, and I'm going to share kind of a personal example with this. We talked a lot about setting goals related to your identity, right? Like I'm a person who makes healthy food choices, or I'm a person who whatever. I changed a lot of things about my identity a few years ago, and this spoke to me so much, right? Where if I place my entire identity on, I am a platinum, let's say I had staked my entire identity on, I'm a platinum plus premier. Well, when the pay plan changed, I'm not a platinum plus anymore. What does that do, right? That those are some of the things that when we stake our identity that way, it can be harmful. Rather than me saying, I'm a woman who loves my business because it gives me freedom, flexibility, fun, that is going to be a why that I can keep working to no matter what, right? Because if you stake your identity on one thing and then that thing falls through for you, it's not very fun, you guys. It can be very damaging, and therapy is good. But I love this section so much because rather than say, here's a perfect example. I'm an athlete because I'm the type of person who's mentally tough and loves a physical challenge. Right? Like just adjusting. So this is something I really want as we're doing our why moving forward. That's something I want to talk about. The last thing I want to say, because I don't want to keep you guys on here forever, the conclusion is he tells the story about giving a person coins, right? And at some point, if you're giving them coins, like at some point, you're going to have to say, now this person is rich or not, right? Is that how it goes? Yes. And that is what these habits are, you guys. They are going to add up one on top of the other. You're not going to be able to pinpoint like, this is the one habit that I did that made me successful. It's going to be building these habits and these systems into your business. That is the thing that finally you're going to be like, I am successful in my business. Anybody have any thoughts on what we just covered before we kind of talk about what we want to do next?
I also think too, and this is something we'll talk about as we're transitioning over to kind of where we want to take this, is it goes back to what you want out of this business. Some of us want it to be bigger than others, and that's okay. It's also, as a leader, understanding that each of your people are important in your business and each of them have their own goals. My goals, I can't tell Jennifer that she needs to have my goals. She has her own goals. And so I think that's important too. You can be successful on a continuum. You can be up here or you can be down here, and it's still your success. It's no one else's success.
Yeah, I love that. That's why I love I don't like the F word follow up, but I do like freedom, flexibility, fun. Because
those are good F's.
Yeah, because that is truly how I view my business, is the freedom to work when I can, but I don't have the freedom to not work, right? But I have the freedom to work when I want to. That flexibility to work it into my life how I want it, and financial flexibility, and the fun, this time with you guys. And that is what fuels me. So that being said, Shalene, do you want to take just a second and kind of go through our outline of what we're thinking?
Yeah. So you guys are actually way ahead of the curve because you've had the chance to read this book and really take this information and get to the point that you kind of know how you want to apply it. Now we are going to, we really feel accountability is super important. We love having these groups. We are going to offer it up to more people. Now that doesn't mean more people will take the challenge. We don't want to make it too hard, and we don't want to make it too easy. We want to make it so it stretches you within the goals that you want to reach. So what we're going to work on going forward is about an 8-week challenge where we're going to do a video to present it to the group as a whole. And the video is going to include criteria. And one of the criteria is the 5x5 tracker that you guys have already been doing. They have to keep track for at least 1 week in the 5x5 tracker. DM me or Shanae ahead of time to be added to this group. You guys are already in this group, so we're hoping you take advantage of it. But that is how those people without reading the Atomic Habits will be invited into the group. We are going to start very basic, okay? Each week you will be presented with a topic, a challenge. We're going to talk about roadblocks that you have. There will be about 3 different posts, maybe 4 a week, that will help you build onto the systems that you're doing and give you ideas. Now, with that said, we're also going to give you ideas and you're going to find what works for you. So starting out, we'll do the 5x5 tracker, and each week, one of us will be the lead for the week, and we'll be presenting a new topic that builds off of the previous topic, if that makes sense. Our goal is by the end of about 6 weeks, you've got the things that you need to create systems, duplication, habits in that book, sell, recruit, 3 bases of our business, okay? And then we'll have 2 weeks of taking everything we've learned and really putting it into action. Now, our goal is to continue to do that, to keep the group open and maybe turn it into more than that. But right now we're taking it at that about 8-week time. That'll take us through September. That'll take us through October. And what we know as business, your October, November, and December are your busy selling months. So we want to establish those routines, create those routines, and help you keep track of them through the busy selling months so that your January continues to be successful for you. Did I miss anything, Shanae?
No, I don't think so. But one thing I've thought about that I haven't even told you is, as members of this group already, if you do have a team, I want you to consider the idea that Carolee has expressed to us a couple of times, which is 3 plus me, right? In this pay plan, moving up into those higher ranks, it really becomes about having those qualified legs, 3 qualified legs. So if you do have a team, maybe start thinking about 3 people that you want to bring along with you in this journey. Get them in a group chat and add to the concepts that we're working on in here together. That would be just kind of a suggestion, that I'm going to be making to my team, is 3 plus me. Like, let's, the 4 of you really dig in and let's get some accountability going and some tracking going and see how far we can take things this fall.
Yeah. And I really think it's good. We will be referring back to specific Atomic Habit things for those of you that have read the book, but we really just want it to be some good systems that you can put into use into your business, and we can help you not overwhelm you right away, but start you and then add to those habits as you create them. Does that make sense? So what we are going to do, so you guys know, as people that have done the Atomic Habits, is we had a meeting before this meeting where we divided up kind of a video expectations, what's going to happen. We're going to go ahead and record that tomorrow. We will make that available to you to share to your teams or share to the specific people that you want to share it to. I will also be sharing it to Posh Crew. But in order to, we had to have criteria. So in order to be part of this group, they do have to track for around a week so that we know that they're devoted to being a part of it and learning from there. Okay, any questions?
Do you guys feel good about it? I think it's going to be a smooth transition. I think it's going to be great. And then plus we all get to still hang out together. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we
I'm-
didn't
I'm
really. Go
I'm
ahead.
totally excited about it. I want to say that, you know, I've been doing the Posh the USA, Shalene, and I have like, I don't know, 30, close to 30 states by now. And it really, it is really, kind, because I've been having a lot of conversations recently with my husband about Posh, and he's very stuck on the, you don't, I mean, accounting is my background, right? And obviously working as a full-time accounting manager in a public company, I made a pretty good amount of money.
Mhm.
And so like, I think that's kind of where he's stuck at. And so I've said, basically from now until Dallas, that's my time period to like do something with this business, like, you know, do that consistently every month. And I just realized that, you know, I can't count anymore on my VIP. I mean, there's people that I have, you know, really great customers that have spent many, many hundreds of dollars, but they're like poshed out, right? Like they're going to only buy little things here and there. They're not going to be big customers every single month. And so it's time to get more customers and get doing parties and get, you know, to expand the customer base and the team base in order to, you know, like my big lofty goal is Premiere by Dallas. So
Love it.
but it's great to like in the book, you know, there's a thing in there that he talks about the motion versus action. And that so spoke to me because with like, I had all these, like in the first day I had probably, I don't know, 18 or 20 states that people gave me. Like I was just messaging and I got all kinds of, but then I wasn't doing, I was so hung up on like, what do I send with it? What do I include? How do I personalize? I got so hung up in all of that, that I still I'd only done like 5 or 6 of them. And so last night I was like, that's it. Like, it's time for action. I'm getting on my computer. I'm creating my QR code. I'm doing all these things and I'm getting and so now I have all the printouts ready, and tonight and tomorrow I'm getting everything out the door. And I got 2 more states today. So now I'm like, all right, by the end of August, I'm and this is like Jamaica to me. I'm like, once I was talking to my 16-year-old, it's like, once I decide I'm doing something, like whatever, I'm doing it, like you're not stopping me, it's happening. So I think I'm excited about this, and I think it's going to be a great thing to like kind of give me those things to be accountable with and to do all the things and to help be consistent with it.
A couple things on that. Number one, men are very much like that. When I started with Posh, the running joke is my husband hated my business so much that when I would come home from doing a home party, he would watch me carry stuff in because he felt that I was taking money from the family instead of adding to the family.
Yeah.
They actually need to see the numbers. And so that was a huge like turning point for my husband, plus the trips. That was also another huge turning point. But the other thing was when you're talking about new people into Posh, it is so very true that you have to continually get Posh on new people. And Pat, you know, she hits the nail on the head a lot of times where parties are important. Yes, they are. But really, the grand scheme of parties is you're expanding in this short amount of time to more people. And those people create energy. And you'll see that even in your teams, if you have a small team, if your team isn't building and bringing new people in, it almost feels like the energy is lacking. You need that excitement and participation to take that to the next level. Same with your VIP groups. Before we did Poshing the USA, I had a few that were super, super gung-ho. Talk, review. They're poshed out. And if I don't continue to add new people in that want to talk, and participate, my VIP gets very boring. Are they still paying attention? Yes. But not as much. So it is very important to get Posh on new people, whether it be VIPs, team members, bookings, things like that. So that's perfect.
I love to hear that. It makes me excited. And when you do think about Posh the USA, I love it because it's like, you know, if you had 2 groups of 15 people at a party, that's 30 samples, that's 30 states. And so that is getting Posh on new people. Way to go. And we're all just going to be working on systems to make sure that's happening for all of us. So it's going to be good.
Well, the interesting thing too is that there were people, like when I posted it on my personal Facebook page, not just my VIP, you know, with my map of the states. And there were people like, there's somebody who's been in my VIP forever. It's my husband's cousin who lives in Arizona. And she's like, hello, your cousin's in Arizona. And it's like, well, you've been in my VIP for a year and you just sit there and never say anything. And suddenly she's like, send me samples. And so and then we started messaging because it's somebody I already know. And so like she uses Mary Kay, and I was like, okay, well, what do you use? And like, let's do you can compare. I'll give you things that are, she talked about microdermabrasion, and I'm like, haha, I'm going to send Call It Even because it's totally going to beat whatever it is you're using. And, so it just becomes, and I mean, there were a few other people like that I know personally, but that have never, shown any interest. And they're like, hey, send samples to me. And I'm like, well, this is wonderful because they're easy to like do the terrible FUs that you hate, because at least it's somebody, it's not a stranger that's like, why are you bothering me? It's somebody that I, personally know and feel more comfortable like messaging and saying, what do you think,
Yeah, and with that,
it's been good. It's been good, like getting me excited about it again. So that's a good thing.
With that, Maureen, the other thing that I noticed is I get excited when they're excited, and it helps keep me going.
Yep, totally.
The other thing, I'm very authentic with what I do. So when I'm posting, I'm telling these people that are referring people or tagging people, I'm like, hey, could you do me a huge favor? I want to make sure they don't think I'm the crazy Posh lady. Can you let them know I'm messaging them? And there's building that rapport and relationship, because there's so much with direct sales that people think that we're just out to sell. That bridge between this person I know and they know who I am, they know the person I am, is referring someone else and saying, hey, my friend is going to message you. I think you would love these products. That's your in right there, because they trust them, know them, and are like, okay, yeah. And then when I message them, it becomes a conversation right away. It's not awkward. And I think that's number one, what I try to do in my business, no matter what it is I try to develop things that aren't awkward. I want them to feel comfortable with who I am and what I'm asking. For sure. All right. Any other last things, guys? We will get that recording up. We will get it posted to the group so that you can share it to your teamies or the people that you think would really, really benefit from it. We're looking at starting, just so you know, the video will go out, and then we will start training on the 5x5 tracker the week of September 7th would be the first week. So we want them, the video will talk a little bit about what the 5x5 tracker is, what they need to be doing, how they need to track. DM me or Shanae, we'll add them to the group. And then we're kind of going to do a revision of what we expect that first week to get everybody on task of what we're doing. And then we'll add week by week, we'll just add small little things on that you can use. Does that sound good? All right. And I recorded this, so after it uploads, probably it'll take a little bit, but once it uploads, I'll get it put into the group. Awesome. Congratulations, you guys did it. Yay! Such a good book. I think I'm going to keep it on my desk forever.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, we
You
will
guys
see
are
you.
awesome.
Yes, we will see you over in the group and we will get started again right away, September 7th. So I'd encourage you to keep doing your 5x5 tracker, reassess, assess where you're lacking, where you need to work on things, because it'll become very apparent the things you need to work on a little harder than others as you continue to do that. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. We love you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Night.